Uh, Welcome everyone to the Cool Kids Live Review for George Miller's latest entry into the Mad Max Saga, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. So, um, this film has been a long time coming, 9 years to be exact. Question is, would George Miller prove able to recapture the magic of the last film? And in the opinion of at least this reviewer, yes, he did. The film delves deep into the backstory of the popular new character from Miller's last Mad Max film, Fury Road. We begin with young Furiosa at age 10. Speaking of her backstory, she was obviously a kid. She had said in the first film she was 10 years old. In the last film, rather, that she was 10 years old when she was captured. And she was captured. And we begin with young Furiosa, played by Alila Brown, who does a really fantastic job. She is kidnapped by a biker gang run by Chris Hemsworth's Dementus, who, and I have to say, Chris Hemsworth, even though I'm not his biggest fan, he was actually really good at this. He was very solid in this as the crazed Dementist. He had a lot of fun with the role. You could tell he just kind of went off with it. It was a very different role than what we're used to seeing him do. So this was apparently a lot of fun with him, and he had a lot of fun with it. And he's one of the best parts of the film. But Alila Brown more than held her own against him, and we see her progress from a captive of Dementus to being handed over to Immortan Joe to working her way up to the top. To get to the position she is in at the beginning of Fury Road as a war rig leader, one of Immortan Joe's war leaders, one of his most trusted generals, his most trusted lieutenants, and along so with plenty of badass action and adventure along the way. Once we get about halfway through the film, we get Anya Taylor-Joy picks up like 15 years later or so, and we pick up with her about 15 years later, and we get to see just how much of and she is really badass in the role. She is honestly just as much of a badass to me as Charlize Theron was in Fury Road. She did a fantastic job in all the action scenes, with the acting, of course, and she was just really solid. I didn't have any problems with the pacing. It progressed in a very rational, linear fashion. There was enough action sprinkled throughout to keep you interesting. The acting was all really solid and really good. So, honestly, I was really involved in it. I was really involved in it the whole time. As Austrinator says, witness me while I praise the hell out of this film. I just had a really fun time with it. I can't say it's as good as Fury Road, but it's really, really good. You did have Praetorian Jack in there, as he kind of takes on the sort of Mad Max role. He is even kind of dressed and very reminiscent of Mad Max, as he kind of takes her under his wing as his mentor, and he is as his mentor, played by Tom Burke. So he kind of takes her under his wing as her mentor, and they really kind of just and things kind of progress from there. I just thought it was a really solid film, a lot of great action. The acting was all really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The cinematography, honestly, was probably even better than last time. I said maybe it was just because I saw this in IMAX, but there was just some absolutely gorgeous shots in this film. There were some really beautiful shots in this film. But it's either way, it's just really solid all around, really gorgeous film to look at. A lot of fun, a lot of great action. So, and Chris Hemsworth makes a really solid villain in this. So, honestly, my rating 9 out of 10. Fantastic film. And that's all I have to say about that. Right, dude? Rob, you got the mic, buddy.
Alrighty then. Let me pull up my review.
Witness him.
Witness me! So let me state that I love all of the Mad Max movies. In my opinion, they all range from very good to amazing. I mean, even beyond Thunderdome, I really, even though many consider that the weakest, even though I kind of disagree with that statement, but I digress. All of them just have been very good, so to say the least. George Miller has made the Mad Max his own, and while I can't say everything the man touches turns to gold, I'm looking at you, 3,000 Years of Longing. He knows how to craft excellent movies when it comes to the Mad Max franchise, and I can happily say Furiosa could join the ranks in that category. First of all, let me state that I love the character of Furiosa in Fury Road, and I thought it was an interesting take to do like a prequel based on this character. It is interesting how it explains more about just the backstory and how much she became more of on the hunt for Immortan Joe, and how she became who she is, how she became the badass that she was. The acting from everyone is fantastic. Anya Taylor-Joy is an excellent pick for Furiosa. She is just she was a badass in Fury Road, and also just like with Fury Road, I love how her dialogue is very minimal. She mainly acts through her face, and you can actually tell the emotions she's going through. You don't need like tons and tons of dialogue shoved in our face to get everything. Sometimes you just gotta sometimes you can see what people are thinking just by the look on their face. Chris Hemsworth, I think he was an awesome villain. Yeah, he could be a little over. He could be a little over the top at times, but he does bring that combination of hilarious and a very strong, menacing presence to him. And I thought the rest of the cast, they also did a very good job as well. The visuals and cinematography, they look amazing. This honestly feels like it belongs in a Mad Max futuristic dystopian wasteland setting. And I love the camera work that's done within this, maybe even more so than Fury Road. The action scenes are intense, and while I still prefer the action scenes in Fury Road, this still has a lot of action scenes that will make you feel like that a second pair of balls just dropped for you. I know many people say that they had pacing. It had pacing problems, and I'm sure some of these assholes will bring that up. But to me, I didn't really see it. Maybe it was because I was just so invested in the story, the characters, and everything that I never felt the pacing. I never felt the runtime, and I wasn't really bored at all. I wasn't bored at all with this movie. I mean, while I can't say this is my favorite Mad Max movie, I mean, that honor still goes to Fury Road. I would say that this was just a fun time at the movies. Whether you're a fan of the Mad Max movies or just a fan of fun action movies, this is one movie to check out. What else can I say but, oh, what a day! What a lovely day! 9 out of 10.
Witness him.
Witness me!
Witness him. And
Witness me!
Witness him. Now witness my brother Devin.
Alrighty, I would definitely consider myself a fan of the Mad Max movies. I don't hate any of them. I don't even hate Beyond Thunderdome. I like the first movie. Road Warrior is great. Yep. Beyond Thunderdome is okay, and I fucking loved Fury Road. ever since I first watched it my senior year of high school. So naturally, I was excited for Furiosa. I loved her character in Fury Road. Anya Taylor-Joy is awesome and like everything. And George Miller is still attached to him. My expectations were pretty high. However, George Miller's last movie was the boring exposition dump that was called 3,000 Years of Longing. And Rob can agree with me since we both suffered through that. After seeing it last night, is this another solid entry for the Mad Max franchise? Yes. I can't say it's as great as Fury Road or Road Warrior, but I still really like it. First off, the action. Holy shit. The action scenes in this are just as awesome and at some points better than an epic than Fury Road. I was having a blast watching them. Especially the long 15-minute action scene George was talking about. That was awesome. Acting is great from the cast. Like I said, Anya Taylor-Joy is great as everything. I loved her as Furiosa. Even with the minimal dialogue she has, she still kills it in the movie. I surprisingly liked Chris Hemsworth as Dementis. I thought he was hilariously over the top and threatening in the best possible way. Sure, he's no Immortan Joe, which, by the way, it was awesome seeing him again. But he's still good enough. The rest of the cast: Tom Burke, John Howard, George Shevstoff. I don't know how I say it, but I probably butchered it. Aga Sampson, Nathan Jones, and John Hellman as and I laughed my ass off when I heard these names: Rectus, Erectus, and Scrotus. Seriously, these sound like GWAR members.
I think that's on purpose. So.
The movie looks amazing, and again, at some points, it actually looks even better than Fury Road. Now that came out almost 10 years ago, which, by the way, is weird. Fury Road is almost 10 years old. God damn, man. Yeah, I just loved being back in this post-apocalyptic world again. And when Furiosa does get her revenge on Dementis, it was completely satisfying. But why don't I love this movie like I do Fury Road? Well, my biggest issue was the pacing. At some points, I did feel it was a little bit of a slog, and it was pretty slow. Maybe because, I had worked a really long shift at work, and I was pretty tired. But at points, I'm like, all right, come on, let's get this moving. Let's move it along here. Come on. And I also felt at some points Furiosa was sidelined in her own movie. Because, there were a lot of parts of the movie where she really wasn't there. Or at least wasn't the focus. And at points, I forgot, oh yeah, she's going on a revenge mission. Because when Dementis came back, I'm like, oh yeah, she's getting revenge on this guy. And I wish, this might be a nitpick, I wish we knew what happened with her sister. Because we saw the mom get killed. After, she gets captured, she has, her sister with her, and we hear, nothing about her. Did she get kidnapped by Dementis? Or I think it would have been interesting if, she was killed as well, and she was also avenging not just her mom but her sister, or maybe the sister got brainwashed, or was made into another one of Dementis's slaves. I just wish they brought up what happened with her, because she just straight up disappears, and she's never mentioned again. But overall, I liked Furiosa. It didn't disappoint. Action is awesome. Acting is awesome. If you are a Mad Max fan, this will definitely satisfy you. And watch it in theaters, please. support your theaters. Don't be an asshole and wait for streaming. Just buy a popcorn, buy a drink, get your ticket, and sit in a nice seat and witness it on the biggest screen possible. And if you're an IMAX, yeah, this was definitely made for IMAX, as these two can confirm. Ben too, and John, maybe Rome. I don't know, but yeah, Furiosa is good. Check it out. 7.5 out of 10.
Witness
him.
Witness me.
Witness. All right, and let's go to Rome's.
What a lovely day. Oh, what a lovely day. So I really love this movie a lot. I thought George Miller, just anytime he does a Mad Max movie, he just finds a way to really keep consistency and add a new layer to this franchise, to this world building. I think the biggest surprise for me was just Chris Hemsworth's performance. I wasn't expecting a really cultivating, charismatic villain from Chris Hemsworth. And he really, to me, I thought this was the best performance he brought. Just how he uses his words, his mannerisms, the way he talks, just so much a different character that he's ever played. And I can see he had a lot of fun playing Demetrius. And I really love some of the moments he does to Furiosa and just things where he finds ways to really torture people. You can clearly see there's a story about him that George Miller probably has somewhere, especially the little teddy bear that he has. You kind of learn a little bit of some tragic story that happened to him. And maybe that was part of what made him this cold-hearted, sinister villain. He kind of reminded me of Negan from The Walking Dead a little bit. Just had this tragic story that really, like, you know, made him what he was in that current form. I thought the action pieces were great. I really loved some of the one shots with the gas tank and some of the destruction going on in the gas world. I thought George Miller really utilized, like he always does with the cinematography, really did a great job in really capturing some of those big action piece moments. I love the soundtrack, the sounding moments with the gas, with the engines and things like that really made it feel like you're watching this spectacle and just had this big event presence to this. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was okay. I thought the younger actress, Alea Brown, did a better job than Anya Taylor-Joy. I felt like Anya Taylor-Joy was just here for this origin part of things, and really, like, you can see why she was cast as a young Furiosa. But she was okay. It was nice to really see Immortan Joe again. I thought it was by the time we saw him later in the movie, I was really happy to see his interaction with Demetrius and see how their interactions was. One thing about this movie I really love is that it's a great counterpiece to Fury Road. I would recommend to go watch Fury Road after Furiosa because it gives you this emotional impact that Fury Road didn't have before it now has. For example, some of the shots with Furiosa reuniting with her tribe from the green world in Fury Road, and just that impact that she has when she sees, I think it's her sister. I don't remember if they confirmed that was her sister in Fury Road, but there's a whole this reuniting with the green world and learning what happened in the green world in Fury Road. So Furiosa Saga Mad Max, in one way, it's a giant movie to Fury Road. If you watch from beginning and then you watch Fury Road, you feel you watch one giant story flow. And it just, to me, I just think that Fury Road just did a great job giving you some of the stuff that you didn't have from Fury Road. So when you watch Fury Road, it just gives you that impact and that results. I think some of the things I didn't like, I think once you didn't see Dark Demetrius for a while and they focused more on Jack and Furiosa, that's when I felt the runtime. I felt like Demetrius really carried most of the movie as a villain. And he did, like I said, like, it's always, a good movie has to have a great villain to really carry this movie. And that's what Chris Hemsworth did. So I felt the runtime once I didn't see Dr. Demetrius, and then just little things where you just kind of like a lot of talking, a lot of things going. Obviously, get his character development, but I just felt like you felt the runtime a little bit. I felt like Act 1 was a little too long than it should have. But besides that, the biggest issue I had where I got confused because there's an actress who we meet who was with Furiosa's mother in the beginning. She's later captured, and I thought that was they would capture the green world. Little did I know that same actress was playing two different characters. So she plays the disfigured character you see later in the movie working with Demetrius. She also played the Furiosa's mother's friend. So I got really confused with if she gave up where the green world was in the beginning, but then later she never did. It was really like a confusing moment for me where that's where it kind of hurt my experience a little bit. But overall, I'll say it's a great movie. It's worth watching in theaters. It's a film spectacle. Um, go see this in theaters. Please support your theaters. It's a movie I think fans will really love, especially if you're a Mad Max fan. This is a movie you want to see in theaters, and go watch it in theaters. My score is 8.5 out of 10.
Fantastic, fantastic. Witness him.
Witness him.
All right. Next is Commander Cool. Commander Cool, you have the floor, my man.
Oh, I just want to get this off my chest. This has been my most anticipated movie of 2024 because I love Mad Max Fury Road. I remember seeing it at an Alamo Drafthouse Theater one summer from college, and I loved it. It was adrenaline rush filled with action-packed stunts, interesting characters, and an outstanding score. But I felt like the Furiosa had the same, just fewer qualities. I mean, don't get me wrong; it still had some of the same good qualities. It was fast-paced, how to extending out acting, as well as a great story. With just like Fury Road did. Just the difference was what it was. Like this story focused more on revenge. Like Furiosa getting how she was separated from her family. But the main problem I had was with the pacing, and because the movie couldn't decide if it wanted to focus more on Furiosa as a kid or as a young adult. It's like, pick a lane. And not to mention, I like Chris Hemsworth in this movie, but he kind of got on my nerves at time, especially his voice. It sounded more like a cartoon character than anything else. But altogether, it's a good movie, and it's worth a watch. If you are a Mad Max fan or looking for a good action-packed time, go to the theaters and watch this. My score is 7.5 out of 10.
Fantastic. Sorry, I forgot to take Rome's score off there. But fantastic. Thank you very much, Commander Cool. And next is Zach Gaxiology.
Witness him.
What a wonderful day. Oh,
Witness him.
Witness me. All right. So, Mad Max is an interesting franchise for me because it's probably the franchise where I'm most casual with it. I like these movies, but I'm not a fanatic of any of them, although I will say the second one is still my favorite of the series. So, but I felt like I was gonna be at a disadvantage with this film because I haven't seen any of the Mad Max movies in years. Probably not since when Fury Road came out is the last time that I rewatched all of them. But still, I had a fun time with this movie. I liked that even though it was a prequel, it doesn't rely on the fact that you have to have seen Fury Road so you'll understand any references in this film. So I liked how they structured it. But the thing that I liked most about it is that this is probably the most simple story that we've had for any of these movies since the original film. At its core, it's a abduction revenge type story, but it's done very well. Excellent through simplicity, as they always say. And that's what kept me invested. I was really intrigued at seeing how meticulous the pacing was, is showing how she rises up through the ranks slowly but surely. And as much as I liked Anna Taylor-Joy as a younger Furiosa, she was great. I really buy her as a younger version of this character. Chris Hemsworth was the best thing in the movie for me. Like whenever he was on screen, it was like, oh, please tell me more. Like I am in love with this villain. Not my favorite villain of the series. Like what's his name from Fury Road is probably still my favorite villain, but there you go. And at the end, when she gets her revenge, it was satisfying. I liked how it was actually kind of funny. Like I said, oh, was he hung or was he disfigured or was he left in the Citadel? I liked how it was kind of like that unreliable narrator type of trope, but yeah, I don't have much to say because, like I said, I haven't seen any of these movies in years, so I can only go off of this movie as of now. So, but I'd say I really enjoyed it. Where would I rank it among all the other films? I have to watch all the other films again to really think, but it's not topping the second one. Like nothing is topping the second one. So at the end of the day, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Go see it in theaters. Keep this franchise going. Like much like what I said about the Apes movies. More movies like this, less Marvel. So there you go.
And last, and let's be probably least, just kidding. Our own The Geek Informant. John, take it away.
Witness him.
I swear to fucking God, if you say witness me again, I will fucking torch all of you in real time. Please stop. Anyway, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Oof, this movie is somehow flatter than Belle Delphine's tits. After Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes gave us some much needed and deserved hope in regards to blockbuster films this year, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga brought us right back down to most of the other action fluff this year. Great ideas, but piss poor execution outside of Dune Part 2 and Kingdom, of course. While not a bad film, I would most definitely categorize this as a disappointment. Let's discuss, shall we? The acting from everyone was quite good. As Miller stated many times throughout this film, he wanted to minimize as much dialogue and have the visuals speak for themselves, which is especially ironic considering his last film was apparently nothing but dialogue and exposition. With this, the actors rely heavily on body language and mannerisms throughout most of their performance, and I think most of them did a very good job in this heavy reliance on a more visual stance, which I appreciate. Anya Taylor-Joy needs no introduction, as she has quickly become one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, and for very good reason. She exudes her impressive talent here, like every other single one of her other projects, as well as her younger counterpart, Elila Brown, who I feel scarily matched her adult counterpart to a T. She was genuinely fantastic. Angus Sampson, John Howard, and Nathan Jones all return to their respective roles from Mad Max Fury Road and are all good in said roles once again. This time, due to the unfortunate passing of Hugh Keys-Byrne, Lockie Hume, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, takes up the mantle of Immortan Joe and is fine. He doesn't really do a ton to make it as memorable as Keys-Byrne's portrayal, which is maybe unfair as he had less of a role and was more of a smaller supporting character. Josh Hellman returns, however, this time as Immortan Joe's son Scrotus, who I believe does not appear in Fury Road. He did a rather good job as more of the weird, wicked brother itching for action rather than the brute of Rectus, played by Jones. Then finally, we have Chris Hemsworth as Dementus. He's tolerable here. Maybe I'm biased due to him being in that film that shall not be named, but he was okay here. Trying way too hard and wasn't incredibly interesting or funny, but you can tell he was enjoying himself. I'm honestly just kind of sick of him at this point, and I don't think he can really do anything to make me think otherwise. So no, I don't think he's amazing or steals the show or, anything like that. He's just kind of there. I did, however, like Tom Burke's character, Praetorian Jack, who has some notes of Max in his wardrobe and demeanor, which I thought was an interesting choice and most definitely deliberate. The action scenes, while properly thrilling to an extent, didn't have the oomph to make them as interesting or as memorable as previous installments, like the final scene in The Road Warrior, the Thunderdome scenes in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, or even the climax of that film, and pretty much any scene involving the war rig in Fury Road. They lacked the proper investment, heart-pumping action, and edge-of-your-seat thrills that all of those films truly had. I blame this on the god-awful pacing and piss-poor editing. While Oscar-winning editor Margaret Sixel did return for this film, she was joined by someone else, Elliot Natman. So it's entirely possible that the faults are on his shoulders, or that maybe Sixel could not catch lightning in a bottle twice, and her previous editing effort was just a fluke. Because of this, it unfortunately results in a rather boring film that did not need to be 2.5 hours long. as you can definitely feel its running time after a certain point. Even unfortunately reaching the cardinal sin every boring film has under its belt, it had me checking my watch multiple times throughout the film. Despite this, the cinematography was quite good and inventive, similar to the last film, but felt very different enough as to not copy everything from the previous film. Whether that is a plus or a detriment to the film depends on the situation. I also wish we actually saw the 40-day war as well. I feel like you could have made that the movie, and it would have been much more interesting than anything we got here, rather than just the quickest of montages. Unfortunately, when it comes to story, this film majorly falls flat. Fury Road managed to be clever enough by having such a simple plot that the character development style and action scenes were at the forefront, which resulted in a unique film managed to properly breathe life into the post-apocalyptic genre once again, after it got raided by so many lackluster young adult dystopian adaptations that ran rampant. Here, despite being inundated with a much longer running time, we somehow managed to get a fraction of the character and themes that were heavily present in the previous film. Despite being an overly thought out backstory for Furiosa, we get little addition to her character, and we pretty much know the exact same information as we did at the end of Fury Road. Sometimes a prequel just isn't necessary, and by the end of this film, I was thinking the exact same thing. But I guess not everyone can be Vince Gilligan. Another thing I found annoying, which is a trope that is found in many prequel projects, that the main character magically gets everything they are iconic for in one adventure. Whether in great films like the cold open of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, or in downright trash films like X-Men Origins Wolverine. It is a trope that I find very eye-rolling in this day and age, and it is no exception here. I just wish some things were left up to mystery. I do, however, like how everything kind of came full circle with the original Mad Max film eventually being about revenge for family, while this film is about the same thing. However, both suffer from the same unfortunate fate, being the most interesting at its climax, while the rest of the movie does not live up to said climax. And even then, Mad Max still had a point and plot, while I feel this film does not. It honestly felt like one giant cold open for Fury Road instead of feeling like its own movie, which I will get into. I just felt like it was too closely tied to Fury Road. I know this is probably a dumb argument, and I know I'm probably going to get shit for it, but the thing I liked about the Mad Max films were how different they felt from one another. Well, I know this probably shouldn't count because it's not a Mad Max film. I just wish it had a bit more of its own identity rather than just looking and feeling like Diet Fury Road. This probably wouldn't have been a problem as much if this was released back to back like originally intended, as then it would have felt like a more complete story rather than feeling like two very different yet at the same time very similar installments almost a decade apart from one another. Thanks once again, Warner Brothers. WB, still remaining the kings of terrible decisions. I guess that's not really a fault on the movie, just a thing that kind of irked me. Although I do feel like this film was George Miller trying to get back to the more visceral nature of previous Mad Max films in terms of its violence and action. But it didn't feel like it got there totally. I just wish it had a bit more of its own identity is all. Like Bumblebee is a great example with how it has its own identity, but still remains pretty closely tied to the overall franchise at that point. I know I've kind of lambasted this film, but I don't hate it. I'm more so voicing my grievances because of my disappointment, not because of my hatred. I still liked the majority of the acting. The action scenes were pretty good. It was entertaining at points. The climax was good. Some comedy here and there was executed well, and I had a decent time with it. But everyone calling this the greatest thing since sliced bread and just as good, if not better, than Fury Road, I just don't see it. It's a bit better than the original 1979 film, but pales in comparison to any of the sequels. It's just one of those movies that will definitely not age as well as Fury Road, and I feel will be forgotten very quickly. Overall, it's a decent flick, but it majorly falls flat with the biggest things it's going for, character and action, when it was especially done better in previous films by a mile. Also, it loses points for forcing me to watch Chris Hemsworth nipples getting fucking ripped off. 7 out of 10.
Shit. I thought you would have liked that after hating Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I don't want to see that though. I don't mind them getting ripped off. I just don't want to fucking see it. Jesus Christ.
You said something. What stood out to me in your review, even when I first read it, was you said was when you said, what was it? Let me find it in there. You said, uh, I said, I know this is I just felt it was too closely tied to Fury Road. I know this is probably a dumb argument. It is. I know I'm going to get shit for it. You are. But the thing I liked about the Mad Max films were how they felt different from one another. While I know this probably shouldn't count because it's not a Mad Max film, it's not. It shouldn't count because it's not a Mad Max film. I wish it had more of its own identity than just looking like Diet Fury Road. But it should feel like Fury Road, though, because it is a prequel to Fury Road, John. I mean, come on, what the fuck?
Yeah, but then by that logic, Bumblebee should feel like, Diet like Transformers, but it felt like its own thing. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me felt like its own thing.
But it was
Better
a
Call
Transformers
Saul
film.
feels like its own thing. I just wish it had a little bit more of its own identity. That's all.
I mean, it's a Transformers film. Bumblebee is still a Transformers film. It still feels like a Transformers film. Matter of fact, it feels more like Transformers than the last few Michael Bay films. So, but I don't know. I just don't see any of the fights here, specifically about the pacing, but especially about the action. The action I thought was fan-fucking-tastic. Jesus.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fantastic. So, but I mean, Hemsworth, and look, I don't like him either, but I have to give credit where credit is due. The man was good at this. He was
I
legit.
just
He was
I
my favorite part of the
felt like
movie.
I just felt like he was just kind of Like he was kind of good at first, but then he just kind of dwindled. And then by the end of the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. This guy is still a villain. Oh yeah, he's still in this movie. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Like he was just not like in terms of Toe Cutter, Immortan Joe, Lord Humongous, or even Tina Turner and Beyond Thunderdome. They just did not have he did not have the memorability as those villains had at all. I don't think.
Yo, I heard that they originally wanted Jason Momoa for this role.
I
I
believe
can
it.
see that.
I can
I
see
can
that. I know that. Yeah, I know Renee was. She mentioned about it because I know we were. Well, I told her I was going to see Furiosa. I know because I know she saw the trailer and then she was like, "Why did they make Chris Hemsworth the villain? Why couldn't it be Jason Momoa?" Because I know she was talking about like even though she didn't like Fast X, she said that Jason Momoa was the best part of that.
Oh, for
that
sure,
movie.
he was the best thing in it. If anything, I thought his character was so good. I wish he could have been in any of the first 7 films because I liked him that much.
Yeah.
But if it was Jason Momoa, wouldn't if he was Dementis, wouldn't people complain that it's exactly the same as his role in Fast X?
Nah.
I
I've
can't
never
say
seen
because I
Fast
haven't
X.
seen Fast X.
Yeah.
Me neither.
I haven't seen that. Has anybody seen Fast X? It didn't do very well.
Zach
I did.
has.
I did.
Yeah, even
and,
after you said you were fucking boycotting it, you traitor.
and I can attest that I mean his character was entirely different to what the idea of Dementis is in this film. So it would have been different. So he would have been able to separate it just enough from Fast X.
Austin says he didn't. And also, hey, John, new idea for a drinking game.
People would have alcohol poisoning after the first 5 minutes of this fucking review.
Hey! Let's be fair. I didn't see it in theaters. That's the thing. I haven't
Well, I
seen
wouldn't
any of
admit
these.
that.
I haven't seen any of these in theaters since Fast 7.
No excuse.
Hey,
You still watched it. Fuck you.
Hey, speaking of which, Austin made a good point about that. We have no choice but to witness you, Zach.
Yeah, look at my freaking there. I'm a Saga now.
Rusty made a comment earlier. I'm not sure exactly what he was referring to, but he said, "Can't believe they made a sequel to that crap." And it did. It was all flash, no substance. I think he said sometime during your review, Rob. I'm not sure exactly.
Oh, okay.
You can tell us if he's still there
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. If you're Rusty, if you're watching this, and you elaborate what you mean.
Or, I mean, John, you know him. Do you know what he's talking about?
I don't know.
Let's see here.
What are you hiding from us?
I'm not hiding anything. He's just I sent it to people. I'm like, hey, I'm doing a review with my friend. Aren't you the guy that's like, oh, hey, fucking show your
Spread the
review
word.
to everybody. Spread the word. That's what I'm fucking doing. I can't control what they say. Who do you think I am? Mark Zuckerberg? Come on now.
Maybe.
Oh, come on. I have more emotion than that. I have more emotion in my pubic hair than that guy has throughout his entire fucking body.
Well, hot take.
Heavily disagree.
Whoa!
Oh.
Wow.
Dude.
Boo!
No.
Boo!
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Mediocre.
Here's the thing.
But
I don't.
wait, that
Here's
was
the thing, dude.
saying.
Like, if Force Awakens did not come out, Fury Road would have been my favorite film that year.
I mean, my favorite movie of 2015 was Inside Out.
I was gonna say Fury Road would have been my second favorite for that year.
Well,
Inside
Fury-
Out was my
Fury Road was
favorite.
my favorite for
Like-
2015.
So, like, even when the casual Mad Max fan heavily disagrees, yeah.
Yes or no?
That movie back in 2015 was such a beautiful, like, just such a great film to look at and watch, and
Yeah.
it still holds up to this
I
day. You
have-
would think it was made a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I have the black and white version that I still need to watch. That's what George Miller wanted to do. He wanted it to be in black and white so it doesn't look like every other action movie, but then the Warner Brothers wouldn't let him do it for whatever fucking reason. And then so he's like, all right, oversaturate it instead. So they're like, okay.
I'd say it still looks pretty good as is. Like, some of the best action I've ever seen in, well, any action movie.
Yeah, I was impressed by, like with Fury Road, I was impressed with all the action.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
But then, again, his last movie was just so fucking boring and nothing was fucking happening.
Yeah.
Like,
This was a breath of fresh air.
3,000 years of long. Like, honestly, George Miller, you did such a great job with Fury Road by having it all be a visual media with minimal dialogue. How do you go from that to explaining everything every 2 minutes?
So, Mr. Genie, how does the first wish work? Well, you see, 2 hours later. Anyway, that was how I met the woman that would eventually become my mother-in-law.
Fun fact: that role was originally supposed to go to Michael Caine, but he didn't want to do it. So.
Michael
Can't blame him.
Michael Caine.
Get it?
Michael Caine.
Hey, Alfred, what do you want for breakfast? Well,
what I say,
boys
Austin?
gone.
What?
Well,
There's no telling.
Alfred, how does the first wish work? Well, Master Bruce, the year was 1955, and I was fishing off the dock with my father. Honest to God, he felt like Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy.
You know,
Like,
Speaking of overrated movies, Force Awakens.
I was with my mates, and
I agree.
So, what do you guys want to see where Mad Max goes from here? Like, what do you want to see George Miller do next for the saga?
can we get another filmmaker in here? I think George Miller needs to retire at this point. I think he's done. I think he just needs to calm down and just kind of go the way of the dinosaur.
I mainly want a sequel to Fury Road, but if they are going to do another thing connected to this, I want to see a movie about the 40-Day War.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I would like to see him
Yeah.
just because it's getting up there with age. I would like to just do like some kind of like old man Mad Max with Mel Gibson. Just kind of like come back to full circle.
That's what Fury Road was supposed to be, because it was supposed
Yeah.
to star Mel
Yeah.
Gibson.
Yeah.
But Mel Gibson couldn't keep his fucking mouth shut and had to go off with say a bunch of anti-Semitic shit. And
And
George
now
Miller's like,
And then he got kicked
Well,
out. Yeah.
actually, and it also was they were supposed to film in Georgia, but because of like tensions in the Middle East at the time, they couldn't do it. So, and they couldn't find like another location. Like they couldn't film in Australia for some reason, and they couldn't find another location. So they couldn't because they wanted to film in the Middle East, but they just couldn't because they wanted to film in the like early 2000s, but with 2001 and war on terror, all that shit, and so they couldn't do it, and so he had to put it on hold. That was the main reason why I think the Mel Gibson added to it, but it was already pretty much confirmed that they couldn't do it.
And like any franchise at this point, I hope they have an end game in mind as far as where they're going to cap it off.
I mean, George Miller isn't like a Marvel, like, oh, I need to set up everything kind of guy. He's just like, if I make another movie, I'll make another movie. If I don't, then fuck you. That's like the vibe like George Miller gives
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
I mean, because Furiosa, I feel like it's come to full circle. There's really no more movies or stories to tell about her.
well, I
Her
mean,
story
shit.
kind of ends in
I mean,
Furiosa.
if they were to do another spinoff of another character, the only one I could think of was a Martin Joe, but that's
Yeah.
not
Well,
it.
they're from what I understand here. Here's what he wants to do. He wants to do a prequel for Mad Max, what he was up to before Fury Road, and he wants to do a Mad Max 5, and supposedly Furiosa will be back in that, but that would be Charlize Theron and
Yeah. If Warner Brothers actually lets him do whatever the fuck he wants, but with this movie already bombing, we're probably not going to get that anytime soon.
As sad as that is.
Well, it hasn't opened up international yet, so we don't know what the international numbers are.
That's true. Maybe China.
Also-
like shit.
I also thought Tom Hardy said he wasn't interested in like coming
Then
back.
you get somebody else.
Yeah, he had issues with Charlize Theron on the set. There's a lot of stories.
there were.
You know what?
Apparently, he's really difficult to work with because he does not show up on time like at all. He just shows up when the fuck ever. And she is very, very professional. Like she's going to show up early, on time, and be ready. And she really had a problem with that. So, I mean, she's even apologized for it and said recognized her role in it. So, I mean, I don't know about him. So, I mean, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think would make a good Max?
Make Max Australian again. How about
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
Hugh
Mhm.
Jackman.
Even though Mel Gibson technically isn't, but that's beside the point.
Hugh Jackman.
You'd be a
Yeah,
good choice for an old
maybe.
man Max. Yeah,
No, he's too old. I would say
No,
if
he's
they
perfect.
want
that's perfect age.
to do a movie that takes place before Fury Road, then obviously they would have to have a younger guy. They would have to get someone like in his 30s or
Daniel
Do we
Radcliffe.
really need something like that before Fury Road? Because like I haven't seen
Daniel
Beyond
Radcliffe.
Thunderdome in forever, but isn't that basically it? Like that was what he was up to before this?
Well, something
You know
tragic
what?
I'm just
happened.
throwing names.
Guys, you know what? Honestly, George is going to do whatever the fuck George wants to do because he does not care about internal consistency from one movie to the next. It's like one reviewer I said, right. It doesn't make any sense to expect internal consistency out of a 45-year-old series of movies based on an old Australian film with a micro budget about riders in a post-apocalyptic landscape. I mean, come the fuck on. You're not going to, and George doesn't care about that anyway. All George cares about, he approaches each movie individually. He cares about making a good story. That's all.
You know who would be great as Max? Jai Courtney.
I could actually see that. I could actually see
I'm
that.
not lacking.
Austin has some ideas. Wesley
If
has
Disney bought the Mad Max rights, they would do Wesley Snipes as Max.
Wesley Snipes could actually fucking do it. I would watch that.
I
Dwayne
would.
Johnson and Max, hell no, I would do.
No.
Brie Larson as Max. There you go.
No.
You know, honestly, I mean,
Elba is Max, since everybody wants to cast him and everything.
I mean, I don't think Jai Courtney is that great of an actor. However, he works as Captain Boomerang because he actually uses his fucking accent.
Yeah.
Yo,
What
he's
about,
not
uh,
pretending to be a big gruff American.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
about
even
Carl
saying this
Urban?
is a joke. I'm not saying this is a joke. I actually think this could work.
Oh yeah, they're gonna weekend at Bernie's in. You know what? I'd watch this. I'd watch Chris
Oh,
Pratt as
Mark.
Max. Fuck
Hey,
it.
hey.
I'd
Adam
watch
Sandler
Adam
is
Sandler
Max.
too. Fuck it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell as Max. I
I'd see
am dead serious.
I'd watch it.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
watch it.
That would be
You know
the
what?
I
I
would
would
too.
like to see.
that would be the closest we would ever get to an Ash versus Evil Dead continuation, especially where that show ended. So fuck it, I'd go for it.
Aren't they doing an animated?
Oh,
This is my boomstick.
Austin, now we're going overboard, man.
What about
Yeah.
I was trying to say, what
now
about Carl
we're going
Urban?
overboard, not Brie Larson as Max. Now.
Oh,
we're going
Carl Urban.
Carl Urban was a good
Carl
one.
Urban would be awesome.
Carl Urban would
Yeah.
be great.
Carl Urban, yeah.
Carl
Share it
Urban.
later.
But John, aren't they doing
Hunka.
John, aren't they doing an animated revival of Ash vs. Evil Dead? Haven't they been
I
talking
don't
about it?
think so.
It's maxing time.
Max.
George
It's
Lopez
Max.
as Max.
Oh my god.
I
I
know
know
everything,
everything.
and you know nothing.
Hey,
At
what's
the
that
end of
pad on the back of your card, Max? That's my Maxi pad.
Oh, fucking funny. Funny you mentioned George Lopez as Max because in Shark Boy and Lava Girl, what was the main character's name?
Mr. Electric.
Oh.
Oh, Max.
You know
Mr.
what, one
Electric
thing-
sent him to the principal's office and have him expelled.
Held.
You're in my
you
class.
know, going back to the film, guys, I want to say, Snoop Dogg is Max. Gotta love that one. But going back to the film, I really love the relationship between. It was a small but meaningful one between Praetorian Jack and Furiosa. The way he kind of recognized that she's running towards something, not just away. Because I mean, he just picks up on that clue. He's like, "Look, you're not running toward Bullet Town or Gas Town, or the Citadel. So where the hell are you going to go?" So he said clearly, he just reasoned clearly there's someplace else you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So and he kind of recognized that in her, and that really pays off later when they're headed into Bullet Town, and he just stops the rig all of a sudden and tells her, "Hey, you're driving the V8. You're driving back." He's like, "Why?" She's like, "Drive the rig." He's like, "No, not today." And then you see why later when they get into Bullet Town. He sees that sure enough, it's been hijacked, and she's able to get out of there, and he's not.
I will say, I think a missed opportunity though. When I saw that she drew the map to the green place on her arm, I think of what they could have done a lot better with that than just, she had to like cut off her arm to escape the handcuff. I think it would have been more interesting to have like somebody sees like maybe Dementis, maybe one of his underlings be like, "Oh, this must be the place of abundance. We're going to force you to take us there." And in order to stop them from doing that, she cuts her arm off and then destroys her arm so that even they don't have the map to the green place. I think that would have been a lot better than she just she gets it it caught between the two cars and then she just has to cut it off anyway. I just feel like that was a missed opportunity because they clearly show
she cut it off to escape.
Yeah, she cut it off to escape, but I feel like it would have been more interesting if there was like a plot point because she wrote the map on her arm, and I feel like there was setup for that. Like, they're gonna find that, figure it out. They're like, we're gonna force you to take us there, and then maybe she eventually, I don't know.
How would they even know though? They don't know what the fuck a map is. I mean, like you said, only the history knows about astronavigation. They don't know anything about that.
I don't know. I just feel like she wrote that on her arm, and there was some setup to that, and because we knew that would be the arm that was eventually cut off anyway. So I felt like that. What was the point of putting the map on there? It's clearly she knows where to go. Why would she need to write it down?
Because it shows her commitment that she intends to get back home.
I guess so. I just feel like that was a bit of a missed opportunity.
I don't know. I think that was the whole thing. Austin, you're definitely spamming the chat now with more recommendations. Margot Robbie, Mark Zuckerberg, John Travolta, Quentin
Tyler
Tarantino.
Perry.
All right, Austin, if you do one more, we're gonna fucking ban you. Like, Jesus Christ, calm down.
Dude, look, Tarantino may be an amazing director. As an actor,
As long as he's not forcing actresses to stick their feet in his mouth, I think he's fine.
or he's slinging the N-word left and right.
Yeah.
You know what?
Although
Well, I mean, he was doing the movie with Samuel L. Jackson, so like, and he's pretty cool with the N-word, so he probably didn't give a fuck. So it was like, yeah, whatever, I'll say it. He
was using the word before he started working with Sam Jackson.
Still. He probably has an honorary N pass by this point. Like, come on.
Now here's the thing. I have lost all interest in whatever Tarantino's 10th film is now going to be because I was fully on board for the idea of the movie critic. And so whatever it is, it's no hate towards Tarantino, but I'm just, if it's not the movie critic, then I'll take nothing else. I will take nothing else.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sure Tarantino's crying on his way to the bank.
I'm sure.
It's just
no matter what, I'm still gonna be interested.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to whatever his next movie is. Because honestly, I don't think there's been really a bad. There's been no bad Tarantino movie, in my opinion.
His weakest ones to me are still Jackie Brown and Death Proof.
I would say his weakest one is The Hateful Eight, but I mean, I still enjoy that one. Okay.
Hey, you know what? I used to think so, Rob, but I mean, when I finally watched the extended version of Hateful Eight, I just fell in love with it and thought, you know what, this really is a fantastic fucking film. So
I think that's my favorite Tarantino film, in all honesty.
Yeah,
Hateful Eight.
Yeah,
my favorite is Pulp
either that or Reservoir Dogs.
Pulp Fiction for me, easy.
Yeah, top 3 for me.
Ooh, aren't you? Oh, look, Rich fucking McGee over here. Fuck you. Like, all right. Oh my
Imagine.
Oh, what are you gonna tell me next? Your favorite film of all time is Citizen Kane. Your favorite horror film is The Exorcist. Tell us more how special you are, Rob.
Hey, one more, guys. One more. I'm returning it once again to the movie. I wanted to say, how would you rank the movies in terms of all of the Mad Max films?
Okay.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, that's easy for me.
Easy for me too.
Yeah. We'll say it.
Okay, who first?
I'll go fast. I'll go first.
Okay.
In terms of ranking the Mad Max franchise, worst is, it's not a bad movie, but my least favorite is Mad Max, the first one. It's just like, yeah, the budget is just really noticeable, and it's just kind of boring for most of it. The climax is fun. Like the last 15 minutes is like kind of cool, especially when Johnny the Boy is handcuffed to the gas tanker. That's a cool scene, and it inspired Saw, so good on them. But yeah, overall it's fine, but it's not great. And then it's this. It's enjoyable, but it's honestly, as I said, it's mostly boring, and it's missing a lot of stuff that is in all the other films. Then Beyond Thunderdome, a lot of fun. I really liked that one. Very enjoyable. I feel like that was a good conclusion to Max's overall arc. Then Fury Road, then Road Warrior. Road Warrior is definitely the best. Like for a while, Fury Road was my favorite, and then I rewatched the Road Warrior, and I got a newfound respect for it. I thought that, like, it's not like, obviously it's so hard to compare the two of Fury Road and Road Warrior, because like Road Warrior, even though it had more of a budget, it's still like, it's not like, you know, this humongous movie. I just love how visceral that wasteland is, like how fucking brutal. Like, don't get me wrong, Fury Road is a lot of fun, and it does show like the weird mutants and the starvation and all that, but Road Warrior had a more visceral, like 80, like it felt like a visceral 80s post-apocalyptic movie in all the right ways. And I appreciated that world more than the worlds that was showcased in Fury Road, which was a little bit too ridiculous at points, even though it's a great movie. I still love that movie though.
Okay.
Zach, you're next. Since we're going in reverse order.
I'm going only off of the fact that I had seen these movies like the last time 9 years ago, except for the original I rewatched last night, but I wasn't able to finish the other ones. The original's probably my least favorite too. Like what John said, it is very boring throughout most of it and until the climax. Then probably Beyond Thunderdome. It's a good ending to what his arc was, but yeah. Then this one, just going off of recency, and we'll see how it changes down the line. Then probably Fury Road. I just liked how it's just all visceral action the entire time. It never once takes a moment to breathe, but in all the right ways. And then the Road Warrior is just, it's the Road Warrior. What else can I say?
Hell yeah.
Like I said, I'm a casual at best Mad Max fan, but there are two of them that I love, them being Fury Road and Road Warrior.
I think that's what most people, but it's either Road Warrior or Fury Road. Rarely do
Yeah.
get the most.
So yeah, I'd have to rewatch all of them again to see if maybe any of my ranking would change. But just going off of what I remember last time, that's how I'd rank them.
Ben?
Who's next?
It's
I can
Ben's
go.
turn.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen all the Mad Max movies. So I'm just going to say that my least favorite's probably the first one. Then Thunderdome. Then Furiosa. Then Road Warrior. Then Fury Road. But that's just an estimate. So because if I watch them again, it'll probably change. It'll likely change.
Okay. Then it's Rome.
Rome.
So I rewatched all the Mad Max movies this week, leading into Furiosa, and then watching Fury Road after Furiosa. So I'm still fresh and watching all the Mad Max movies this week. I would say my number one is Road Warriors. I feel like if that movie was made today, it would blow people away. I feel like if George Miller had like the effects and stuff that he had with Fury Road, it would be such an amazing movie. I mean, it's like what John said. It is a brutal movie, but it just has really good, like just this good look to what the movie was back when it came out. Road Warriors is number one. Fury Road number two. Number three, it's a toss-up between Furiosa and Mad Max, the first one. So it can go either way. And my last one will be Beyond the Thunderdome.
For me, it would go from best to favorite to least favorite. It would go Fury Road, Road Warrior, then Furiosa, then the first movie, and then Thunderdome.
Okay. For me, going from least favorite to favorite, at the bottom would be the first one. Even though I still like that movie, it's still at the bottom for me. It's then the fourth would be Beyond Thunderdome. Third, I could smell the hate from you guys. Road Warrior. Yes, Road Warrior's at number 3.
Such a
All right.
2 is Furiosa, and then at the top is Fury Road. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I really like Road Warrior. Don't get me wrong. But it's just like, and I mean, I get what I think what it is just the fact that since both Road Warrior and Fury Road are both chase movies, it just seems like Road Warrior watching it seems a little more watered down compared to Fury Road. So, but that's
I would say the opposite.
Fury.
I would say Fury Road, despite having like despite having an R rating, it almost doesn't feel like an R movie. Like considering the fact it's so over the top. And don't get me wrong, I love that. But it like you don't feel like this is like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. You think like it's almost like fun. Like it's like fun to be like stuck in this.
But don't let my rating fool you. I like all of the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, you're just a fucking idiot, Rob, with your rating. That's all. I'm just kidding.
Go eat a dick.
I'm just fucking kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm probably gonna be murdered for this, but I'm probably a bit more negative than I am positive on the original, just because the chunk of it, the huge majority of it, is so boring.
That's fair.
That's fair. Mark, what about you? Since you went first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say at the bottom, and Mad Max, the original. Just finished rewatching that today. Started yesterday. Maybe just because I was really tired and having trouble keep myself from dozing off. But that's the worst one. I'd say that's definitely the most boring for the most part. Although it does pick up by the end. So, but I mean, it's it is what it is. It was a weak film, but I mean, it's not bad by any means. It's still a good film. And fourth, I would say probably Beyond Thunderdome. And again, that's not an insult at all because I like all of these films. Beyond Thunderdome is a lot of fun. But and third, it's kind of a tie for second for me right now. It's kind of hard for me to say between Road Warrior and Furiosa. I still need to rewatch Road Warrior. So, but it's kind of hard for me to say between those two. I'd probably say it's a tie right now for second. So, but first I'm going to say Fury Road. Fury Road, I just really, really fucking love that. I mean, he just kind of took advantage of the technology and just put all of his genius in there. So, I mean, George really showed that he has a fucking thing.
Like, the original is one of those movies where it's like, I don't like it for the most part, but I do still respect it for the fact that we did get much better movies out of it, and it did still start this franchise.
Yeah, like it's one of those movies I respect because it did so much for action movies. It did so much for exploitation, and we just got like just a really like I feel like a lot of things wouldn't have been greenlit if it wasn't for Mad Max. So it did a lot. So I respect it for that, even though looking back, it's really not that great of a movie.
Yeah. So it's like I could still bear watching it if I ever got in the mood to binge these movies, but
I mean, it was his debut movie too. You got to keep that in mind too. This was
oh, it was for Mel Gibson?
Yeah, it was his breakthrough movie.
Oh,
it was, yeah.
Mel Gibson did not direct any of these. George Miller has directed all.
Although he did co-direct the third one, I believe during production a family friend or a friend of his did pass away, so he had to leave production. But for essentially, yes, he's had his name as director on all.
Yeah, these are his babies. I mean, he writes, directs, produces. All these are his.
Exactly.
Definitely his baby. He is the George Lucas to this franchise. So.
Although the newer films don't suck, so but he hasn't sold it off yet.
At least we can still respect that. George, like with Martin Scorsese, the dude's like super old, and he's still directing. Still directed a good movie.
Yeah.
Same with Clint Eastwood. The last few
and Clint Eastwood.
Not Ron Howard though. That man has not directed a good movie since like Apollo 13.
Oh dear God, yeah.
So
wasn't his last movie Solo?
His last movie, I think, was one of the Da Vinci Code movies. I think.
No, he directed Solo.
He did direct Solo, but then he did direct something afterwards.
I think Solo is okay, honestly, as far as his filmography.
Yeah, I don't care if people say the Grinch is still a guilty pleasure of mine.
I like the 2000 Grinch.
If you cut out the moments of dirty humor in it, then yeah.
So
Even
look,
Jim Carrey is what makes the movie so watchable for me.
Although the
Okay.
one moment
So,
is pretty
so-
where he's like,
okay. John, to go back to what you said, the Ron Howard's last movie was 13 Lives.
Okay,
Yeah.
never fucking
I
heard
think
of it.
that was a documentary, wasn't it?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
He directed Hillbilly Elegy in 2020.
Okay.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, that was the last movie he directed was 13 Lives.
Although, you know what? I have
that
heard.
wasn't a documentary.
Okay, I have heard Rush is pretty good. I heard that was good. I heard that was very underrated. So that might be his last good movie.
No, he directed the Da Vinci Code way before Solo. Solo was 2018.
No, I was talking
he
about.
directed all three of the Da Vinci
Yeah,
Code
I was talking
movies.
about Inferno. I forgot what the name of the movie was. I was
Yeah,
talking about
Inferno.
the latest one, Inferno.
All right,
I thought
all right.
that came after Solo, but it came out before.
No, 2 years before.
That was my bad.
Inferno sucked.
Yeah, I mean, haven't all the Da Vinci Code movies fucking sucked?
I haven't seen any of them.
They're mediocre. I don't think they suck. They're just mediocre.
They're just okay.
which
They're
one is
just
the
okay.
one where Ewan McGregor burns himself to death at the end?
Angels and Demons.
Right. That's probably my favorite one. But then again,
I thought you were gonna say Zach's like, oh, I fucking hate that one because Ewan McGregor burns himself to death.
I mean, hey, Ewan McGregor plays Ewan McGregor's in it. Shit, that bumps it up.
Actually, I don't think I ever
It's-
watched Inferno.
It-
I did see the first two. I never saw Inferno.
It's I didn't really care for Inferno, so and I mean
You know what?
Angels and Demons. It honestly, I guess mainly because I remember reading the book and all, but it's like
Yeah.
it left
I
so
mean,
much out, and it's just
Historians hate those books because, and I can understand why. Because I mean, Dan Brown actually takes that shit seriously. He actually believes that bullshit. And you know, if you just if you turn your brain off and just take it as okay, just like a fun, like Indiana Jones type thing,
Conspiracy
that's
theory
fine.
type of shit. Yeah.
Exactly. If you just turn your brain off, you just don't take it seriously, then it's fine. You know, I mean, it's not bad in that respect.
Although it goes without saying that Indiana Jones is a much better franchise.
Although I will say this, in terms of modern Indiana Jones movies, the best ones are National Treasure. Don't at me. Those are what modern Indiana Jones movies should be. Those movies.
Agreed.
I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Book of Secrets was good. I liked Book of Secrets. It was good. Fuck you.
I mean, I've only seen Book of Secrets once. Although I did like the first. I really like the first one though, but I haven't seen the
And
Book
fuck
of Secrets.
for not giving us a third movie, and instead that shitty Disney Plus series that nobody fucking watched. I'm so glad that got canceled after one season. Fuck that show. Oh, we're gonna have National Treasure, but no Nick Cage. What's the fucking point then?
Yeah, like you take away the only appeal those movies had.
Well,
And I liked all the other
not the
characters
only
in it.
appeal, but the main appeal.
Oh,
Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
I like seeing me some Diane Kruger because, but like, you know, Nick Cage. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Although I am contractually inclined to disagree because I do like Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny.
I like Crystal Souls too, but National Treasure, they're better. Anyway, do we want to continue talking about Furiosa, or do we want to end this now? Because we're kind of done.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think we should probably just wrap it up.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
final thoughts, gentlemen.
Go see
Even
it.
though I like to police,
great movie,
still
go
go
see
watch it and support your local theaters.
I was gonna say, Mark, play the clip that pretty much summarizes what we thought of it.
Mediocre.
No, the RoboCop clip.
Well, yeah, we know how John feels about it, but as far as the rest of us,
I like it too. I don't think
I like it.
yeah. So, but we'll see
Enjoy
you
it
next
while we
time.
can, fellows, because our next movie,
It's gonna be better. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got Samuel L. Jackson in it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned to next time for our live stream review of the Garfield movie hosted by Austin.
Garfield. Use the term very loosely, Garfield.
Yep. Oh, just had to do one thing
Yay.
for Devin first. The History Man. Love that dude. Love that dude. So
Of course.
This has been Top Marks with Mr. Thompson.
All right, but now we got to stop the review before Devin starts jerking off.
Exactly.
actually, that might be the time to start the review. We'll switch the review over to Pornhub. All right.
But if you're in North
Join us
Carolina,
for
you
part
can't
2 of
watch
the
it.
review on
Unfortunately, you got to
Pornhub.
use a VPN.
When Devin jerks off to his clip being played. All right. Have a good day, folks. See you next time.
Peace.
Subscribe to our own
Bye.
Witness us.
Watch Devin jerk off.
Once again, we have brought light into the world. You're welcome, America. Witness us.